Good morning. Hello, and welcome to today's show. I'm Dana Kennedy, AARP Arizona State Director. AARP is the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering people 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. With a nationwide presence in nearly 38 million members across the nation and approximately 900,000 in Arizona, AARP strengthens communities and advocates for what matters most to families: health security, financial stability, and personal fulfillment. Speaking of personal fulfillment, we all know that you probably have some goals that you might have set, some New Year's resolutions. So in our Back to the Basics series with Coach Sherry Ann Nelson, we will be going over all the back to the basics, as well as helping you make sure that you stick to those fitness goals or educational goals or personal fulfillment goals, whatever they may be. We want to help you be successful. So with that, I'm going to kick it off to Sherry Ann Little.
Thank you so much, Dana. It's the typical goals. I Googled typical goals for New Year's resolutions just to kind of see I had an idea like what you just rattled off, but I just wanted to see, but losing weight is right at the top of the list. That's usually a typical New Year's resolution. It's because people have like really indulged over the holidays, which is wonderful. But yeah, having a healthier diet is one. Exercising more kind of goes along with losing weight. Financial choices, that's usually a good one too, that people usually go after. Getting organized is another one. Really kind of overhauling your house or picking a room that you want to get more better, just laid out better and organized, like garages. Like for me, it's my garage. And
I have
quit. What's that?
I have a tiny garage, so it fits a car and a couple of other things. So luckily, my garage, if I want my car to be in it, which I do, I can't put a whole lot in my garage. That being said, I do live alone, and I have a 3-bedroom house, and I have 3 walk-in closets.
Well, there you go. All the stuff that would go in the garage goes in those closets.
But I've worked really hard not to put any clothes in 2 of them and just one clothes closet.
Oh, good, good, good. Yeah, it's kind of the premise of, if you have a small space, you better keep it really nicely organized. Otherwise, you're going to be overrun quite quickly. It's kind of like along the lines of a purse. Like women when they carry big purses,
Yes.
everything goes in there. Everything.
So bad for you.
It really is, actually. It really is. Some other New Year's resolutions is quit smoking. That's a really, really popular one. Spending more time with your family and learning a new skill or a hobby. So that's one of mine. So last year I kind of started picking up the guitar, and I'm committed to 2021 really learning how to play it. So I'm looking forward to that, to challenging my brain, because that's the other thing is like when you pick up a new skill and a new hobby, you're really expanding the neuroplasticity in your brain. Because as we age, if we're not, so the premise of everything. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it.
Right.
So, but what's really interesting with New Year's resolutions is they've done studies, and only about 12% of people feel like they've accomplished their New Year's resolutions, which is shocking, actually.
Yeah.
It's that low. I do know that a lot of people, because I'm coming from the fitness industry, and so many people set fitness goals for the year. It usually is about March where people have totally fallen off and have not stuck with it. But actually, the studies show that 23% of people that have set New Year's resolutions actually feel like they've failed within the first few weeks of the year. And
So
so,
they almost set themselves up for failure.
yes, yes. And so that's what I want to talk about today is how to pick the right goals and how to set yourself up for success so that you're not, because people are excited about New Year's and they want to set New Year's resolutions, but a lot of people actually have a tendency to set themselves up for failure because it's like a doom and gloom, like I'm going to set this, but am I really going to achieve it? And it's, be excited about the new year. The new year presents new beginnings, like definitely a renewal for 2021. Hoping, I do believe that 21 will be better than 20. I do. 20 was very challenging. So I do have a renewed hope. And
I kind of feel like 2020, we went into it with this is a new decade and a lot of excitement. And then came March. and it really jolted all of us. And for me, going into 2021, I have zero expectations. And it's not that I'm excited for it, but I actually think the first 6 months are going to be really challenging. And so for me, I'm kind of looking forward to continuing on, excelling what I can do, working from home and doing virtual offerings for our members. And hopefully, come June, the vaccination those who want it will be able to get it and have gotten it. And then we might be able to start easing back into meeting people in person again without being concerned. Are we doing the right thing? Are we doing everything possible to stop the spread? So I'm kind of looking forward to the second half. But I feel like I'm going to get through the first half.
Fair enough. So, I mean, and the thing is my word for 2020 was perspective. And I'm definitely carrying that into 21, and I'm holding it dear to my heart. And, and it's a great word, because by having perspective, it does allow you the opportunity to have some grace and look at things in a different way. And yeah, 2020 was definitely a year where people felt beat down and scared and trying to decide, how do I live in, how do I continue to live my life and not live in fear, but be responsible and respectful, doing things. But it's really important to keep perspective and to realize that things, and do have hope, have a renewed hope that things will get better, because it will. We're on the right track. The timeline is questionable, but it's there. Right. For sure. So, but having perspective, yeah.
And in Arizona right now, we have beautiful weather. It's absolutely fabulous. And, for us, it might be a little chilly in the morning, or we could look at it as a little brisk.
Right. It definitely is chilly. But you know what, though? I welcome it, because our chili is really not that chilly. Like, it's in the 40s, but totally. Just dress a little warmer. Use the opportunity to wear some winter clothes. Exactly. But yeah, this is the time of year to be outside, to really thoroughly enjoy the sunshine that we have, get some good vitamin D, help your health, and just get some fresh air and see Arizona in a different way. And so, yeah, this is the best time of year to be here in Arizona. In fact, I mean, this. I mean, tons of people travel here, usually in the winter time, but I don't know what it's going to be like this, the rest of this winter and into the spring with COVID. But keeping perspective is definitely key. And so find the beauty in the day, keep hold of your renewed hope for the new year, seek out new adventures, find new ways of giving and loving, and just keep a positive attitude. That's the biggest thing that we can do, because if you continue to stay attached to that renewed hope, then you'll continue it. It does take practice and it does take an effort, but it'll at least keep you going on the right path going forward. And that's one of the things, one of my tips is to have a resolution journal and to write down, because it's important to write your goals down anyway, regardless, because if you don't write them down, you can't cement them in and you can't stick to them. Because when people don't write them down, they kind of go about it just half-heartedly. And that's why people usually do fall away from their New Year's resolutions, is because they haven't written them down. So write them down, but keep a journal. And so when you are struggling, when you do hit those setbacks, then you can revert back to your journal and remember why you set them in the first place. And throughout the journal, write in there when you are having a setback and a challenging moment, that you can go back and reread that part and how you overcame that, because we are going to have obstacles. So keeping a New Year's resolution journal, I think, is really, really key. And you just call it your resolution journal or your goal journal. And if you're if one of your goals is a fitness goal of some sort or healthy eating, there are so many apps for phones now that you could put on your phone and keep track. So the point of a journal and using a fitness app or a diet app is so that you can track where you're at. Because if you're not able to track it and measure it, it's kind of a challenge, because you're like, am I making any headway? And so tracking how you're doing with your goals is a huge, huge thing to keep you successful, so I'm going to kind of go backwards here a little bit. So one of the best things to do, and have you heard of SMART goals?
No.
Okay. So SMART goals. So it's an acronym. So S is for specific. So when you pick a goal, you want to be as specific as possible. So when you're specific about what you're wanting to do, it's easier to stick to it. If you just put a general goal out there, it's easier to be like, eh. But if you're very, very specific about it, it's easier to stick to it. So be specific. M is for measure, measurable. So, and that's where the journal or the fitness app or the tracking app comes into play. So you want something that's measurable so you can see how you're succeeding and how you're moving through and moving towards your goal. So make sure it's measurable. And then A is for attainable or achievable. So make sure it's an attainable goal, because if it's not, then you're going to be like, it's easier to fall away from it. Be like, see, it's too hard anyway. You kind of give yourself an out. So make sure it's attainable and achievable, but don't be afraid to go big, like go big for a goal. And R is relevant. Make sure it's relevant to where you are in your life, what you're wanting to achieve, how you're wanting to move through either your career or relationships or anything. Just make sure it's relevant to where you are in your life and what's going on in your life. And then T is timely. So pick a goal, pick a time goal, and make sure that you can get to it in a timely manner. And so those are SMART goals. They are very helpful in picking the right goal, because that's what I said early on. Like, that's one of the problems with New Year's resolutions is people don't pick the right goals. So doing a SMART goal just helps tremendously in keeping you moving forward towards that direction. So being prepared is a huge one. Most people pick goals and they don't think about the trade-off, because usually when you're bringing something new into your life, you're going to be giving something up, right? Because there's only so many hours in the day. There's only so much energy that you can allocate to these things. So if you bring a new goal in, you're usually going to have to give something up. So for instance, like if you have a fitness goal and you're committed to working out 3 times a week, that's going to cut into something else, whether it's your TV time, your family time, or whatever. But it's going to take time away from something else. And so that's one of the things that keeps people from really following through, is they don't think about the trade-off that they're going to have to do. You know, if you're managing your budget, like if that's one of your goals, a financial goal, then you're going to have to do less impulse buying. You're not going to be able to just go out to lunch. Hey, let's go grab lunch today. You're going to have to really think about your budget. And so when you're wanting to manage your budget better, most people don't think about letting go of that impulse buying, because impulse buying is kind of fun for people. So there's the trade-off that people don't actually, when they set their goal, they don't sit down and think about the other side to hitting that goal, what's going to have to happen. And so along with that, think about the challenges that you're going to incur, like in the setbacks that could potentially happen, because it does happen. Like, have you ever set a goal where all of a sudden something happens and you're set back from that goal and you're like, how do I even go for that goal now?
Last year.
What was that?
Well, I was supposed to do Ironman 70.3 in Hawaii. So, and obviously that got canceled. Well, first it got delayed, then it got canceled. So I did readjust my goal, and I have had a goal since 2011 to do a race a month. And so in order to keep my goal of a race a month, it might not have been a 70.3 in Hawaii, but I did do a triathlon by myself at the lake, non-supported. But I just put my bike in my car and I set up everything in my car. So I swam in the lake, got my bike out, biked around, put my bike back in the car, then did a run and finished my triathlon. And then I signed for some virtual races. So it wasn't necessarily what I planned on doing, but it was a goal that was important to me that I at least wanted to finish to the end of the year. And then I'm still trying to evaluate if I feel it's really worth saying that I'm going to do a race a month, through 2021, knowing that most races probably aren't going to happen at least the first half of the year, or at least that I'm comfortable doing.
That's the other part. Is like, they host it, but then am I comfortable in subjecting myself to that? And what example am I setting, and all of those things? And so it's so you're rethinking your goal for this year, even based on circumstance. And that's the relevant part of the SMART goal. It's like, is that really relevant to what's going to be going on in my life and in society? So, but good for you for, and you didn't even see that setback coming. Like what I'm talking about is like people can usually foresee like the challenges and the setbacks that they potentially might be incurring. That one, with that blindsided all of us. And as a coach that coaches athletes, that was one thing that I had to help navigate with a lot of my, was they put so much focus into a race goal and then having to like work up to that race, not knowing if it was going to be canceled. And I just told all my clients, you got to operate as if that race is not happening, but we still train as if it's going to happen. And then we just pick a mock race. We just make one up, just like exactly what you did. So kudos to you for sticking with it and just finding an alternative that worked in the moment. Because that's the thing, like being able to adapt. Most people are not equipped to adapt because they don't think about what they could do. It's just when their goal is taken away from them or it's needing an adjustment, they're usually like, okay, well, I just stop, I just quit.
Right.
And so good for you for figuring out how to make that work. But that is the thing, is anticipating challenges and setbacks, and you can learn from those. Like most people just kind of throw their hands up in the air and give up when there's a setback, but take those challenges on. It's an opportunity to stretch yourself and step outside your comfort zone and adapt yourself and find a new goal, switch the goal a little bit or tweak it and just keep moving forward. Because most people, when their setback happens, they just think it's an ultimate failure, and it's not a failure.
Yeah, in 2000, a couple of years ago, I had a goal of doing for my 50th birthday or birthday year, I wanted to do 5 70.3 Ironmans. And then I broke my wrist. And so then, well, first I pulled my calf muscle doing one of the races. And then I got out of the boot, and that same weekend I broke my wrist. So then I had to find another race and readjust that goal. But at the end of the year, my fifth 70.3 was a Desert Wells. So I still finished it, but definitely had some challenges along the way. But it also gave me something to work towards with such a major injury. Breaking your right wrist, you find out, especially living alone, how challenging things were. Just being able to do your hair with a blow dryer. Get dressed. Definitely had challenges.
Yeah, that goes right along with perspective. That's why it's become one of my most favorite words. It's like you really gain perspective when you have a setback and a challenge, because it does force you to either accept it and make a change, just be adaptable, or just do something totally different. Because I mean, I'm not one to give up, and I really encourage people to not have that attitude of, it all or nothing. Like, even if you have to cut your goal in half, or even if you have to just make some serious adjustments to where it's going to take longer than you originally anticipated, at least you're still moving towards that goal. But it's so important to keep perspective. So very important. And one of the things too, along, imagining setbacks and challenges you might have, is recognize your weaknesses. Like, we all have weaknesses. When people go into goals overconfident, they usually end up failing because they're overconfident and something always happens. So go into it recognizing your weaknesses. And, coming from a fitness background, like mine is, when people set goals to exercise, I always say, if you're coming off the couch, just start very gentle to yourself and be kind, start to 2 to 3 times a week. But if you know that you like your cozy, warm, dark room bed in the mornings, like especially right now in the wintertime when it doesn't get light until close to 7, like set your clothes out the night before. Set yourself up for success. Like, if you know your weaknesses, you like your cozy bed and you don't want to get up and exercise, set yourself up for success the night before. Get your stuff out. Tell yourself that when you wake up in the morning, you're not going to hit the snooze button. You're going to put your feet on the floor and hit the ground running. And so recognize your weaknesses and set yourself up for success with those weaknesses. And along those lines, though, be kind to yourself. Like we do have challenges. We do have setbacks. We do have things that sideline us and blindside us. So don't be frustrated. Like, be kind to yourself and show yourself some grace. Like, if you fall off the wagon, so to speak, cut yourself some slack, but set the goal to get back on the wagon. So it's really important to be kind to ourselves in this process of achieving goals, and just show yourself some grace.
So I'm wondering if those watching, if they have any New Year's resolutions that they've set.
Oh, I'd love for people to share their New Year's resolutions. And so my last tip, hopefully people will share that, but my last tip is have a buddy system. Have some accountability. Share your goals with someone, at least one person, whether it's your spouse or your best friend or a parent or a child, coworker, anybody. But share your goals with someone, write them down, and then share them. And then ask somebody to help hold you accountable. Or if you have somebody that you want to achieve a goal with, that's the best. Like having a buddy or having a partner in life that you want to achieve some goals with, then that's even better, because then you can kind of support one another and sharpen each other along the way. And when one falls, the other one picks you up. And so it's just kind of this great way of having some camaraderie and some community, and really encouraging somebody else usually is really such a gift to ourselves. Even when we're encouraging them, they're getting a gift because they're going to be receiving our encouragement, but it's also a gift to ourselves, because when you're helping somebody else, it's going to help reinforce it in you. So, the biggest thing I can tell you is just have a buddy system, have accountability, find some support.
So we have one person, Brenda, who said that she wanted to take more breaks during the workday, turn off her cell phone 1 hour before bed, and start her day with positive affirmations. So any suggestions to making sure that she sets herself up for success?
I think that's wonderful. So with taking more breaks during the day, I would definitely put that in your calendar as far as like when you're going to do it. Don't just say I'm going to take breaks during the day, because if you just say it not specific, so be very specific about when you're going to take your breaks. And then turning your cell phone off an hour before bed, you can have it remind you, and you can have it do it. Like everything can shut down. I have it to where I go to a gray screen, so it's no colors, so that my eyes aren't stimulated. So you could, as far as turning your cell phone off, you have to make that commitment and put an alarm in your phone that, okay, it's time to shut it off, and then be committed and shut it off. And then starting your day with positive affirmations. I love that. That's how I start my day, because I wake up to have things to be grateful for. And that's a wonderful, wonderful one. So with that, I would say if you're not used to doing that, have a affirmation journal next to your bed, so that when you get up, or have it if you drink coffee or tea in the morning, have it close to wherever you make your coffee or your tea, and have it right there with you, so that when you make your morning beverage and you sit down and you have some quiet time, meditation time, just do your affirmations right then and there. So have like a program, a system set in place to set yourself up for success. But Brenda, I love those. Those are great.
And Alex says he will continue exercising at least 5 days a week. Health, 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 and more health in 2021.
We do need more health in 21. And so I'm excited for you for that. So since you said I will continue exercising, that means that you've been doing it. So kudos to you. What I challenge you with, because I always love challenges, is find something new. Find something new to do in your 5 days a week, a new activity, a new exercise, a new sport. Challenge that brain so that it can continue to grow and be strong. But good for you.
And then Maria says, get back to exercise schedule.
Perfect. So don't be generic about it. Like, pick your schedule. Like if you're going to be a morning workout person, make sure that you set your window of time of when you're going to do it. If you're a nighttime person, make sure you carve that time out, but go into it knowing that you're going to be giving up something else. Because when you're getting back to an exercise schedule, that time was filled with something else right now. And so make sure that you recognize that you're going to be carving that out so that you can put exercise in. So.
And then do something one time a week with my children that is special.
Perfect. Carve it out and be specific about what you're going to do. And let them help you find something fun that they want to do too, so that it's special to them.
So I will say publicly, my goal is to do yoga every day. So I have the Peloton app and I have the Peloton bike. So I bike regularly. I do a spin class almost every day. And of course I walk my dog every day. But what I found is doing a triathlon training, I have zero flexibility. I can't even sit on my feet. And yeah, I cannot sit on my feet, like the easy yoga pose.
Oh, you mean like just like on your knees, kind of like your
On my
butt,
knees.
like
Yep.
your bottom touches your heels.
Yep.
Girl.
So that is my goal, is to do just a little bit of yoga, which is stretching, and it could be a 5-minute class or a 45-minute class. And right now I'm only able to do the beginner yoga class. So my goal is to be able to work myself up to a 45-minute intermediate class.
Awesome. Be specific about how you're going to measure that out. You know, if you're starting with 5 minutes, think, you know, and you make your goal adjustable so that, because if you don't hit it right, like you can, but think about, okay, I'm going to do 5 minutes a day for 2 weeks, and then I'm going to do 10 minutes a day. And then like, so have it set to where you know how you're going to work yourself up to 45. Because if you're like, I'm just going to start at 5 and work to 45, you know.
I'm actually up to 30, but some days I may not have time to do like a yoga class. So then I'll just go ahead and not necessarily cheat, but just do at least where I'm at least doing 5 minutes,
Good.
Which is better than not doing 5 minutes at all.
Exactly. I mean, and that's one of the things that people always say to me is, I don't have any time. And I'm like, okay, well, then you need to do a time audit on your day. Yeah. So if people say, I don't have time, my first thing to them is, okay, for the next 3 days, I want you to do a time audit. And where are you allocating all of your time throughout the day? Because I can guarantee you there's time.
Yep, exactly. I mean, my goal is really to do at least a 30-minute class, but if I'm not able to get in, if it's the end of the day and I didn't get it done and I would rather go to bed, then I'll just do the 5-minute class real quick.
Good for you. That's important, that people, if you have that resolution with yourself in the sense of, if your day, because I know your schedule can sometimes be dictated by other people. And so sometimes you don't have complete control over your schedule based on what other people are needing from you. But if you have a commitment to yourself by the end of the day, like if I wasn't able to carve out X amount of minutes, I'm going to give myself 5 right now and make those 5 count. And that's huge, because you'll feel so much better. You'll sleep better. So
yeah, I did it last night because I was like, I'm too tired. It's time for bed. It's already 9. You usually go to get your butt in bed by 8. And I was like, well, we'll just do a 5-minute class. And I didn't realize it was an option, but it was.
Perfect. Good.
So now I know I can at least sneak in a 5-minute class sometime during the day.
5 is better than 0.
Exactly. So I know we're close to the bottom of the hour. So I think our next time we will be with you is January 19th. Right here on AARP Arizona Facebook page. And what will we have to look forward to?
How to create a healthy workspace from home, because going into 21, a lot of people still are working from home. And so I think that people are in this limbo phase of not really working at home or working at an office. And so they've kind of created these makeshift workspaces at home that aren't really the best spaces, you know, to be as productive and to be healthy. And so we'll be talking about how to make a healthy workspace at home.
Sounds great. Well, Sherry Ann Little, thank you so much for your time today. And we look forward to seeing you on January 19th. And to all of our members as well as non-members, thanks for tuning in. And if you missed us, you can catch this on YouTube channel. So thank you so much and have a great day. This concludes the program.